Does Jimin have to be discharged from the military hospital and transferred to a civilian recovery facility to save his health? This news has shaken not only the military barracks, but also the international fan community, which has begun to feel a growing sense of concern. It all started during the morning roll call, when all soldiers of the 5th Division were summoned for a routine physical examination. Among the rows of upright and enthusiastic soldiers, one figure stood out. Jimin walked with a limp, supported by 2 fellow unit members. He was pale, his steps unsteady, and his body was drenched in cold sweat. Moments later, he collapsed. Jungkook, who is usually the most physically and mentally stable figure, immediately accompanied Jimin to the infirmary. He refused to leave the site even though the medical staff asked him to complete his own examination. He simply said, "I'm here to make sure he's safe." That sentence alone was enough to spark speculation. There was something more than mere exhaustion. According to an internal source who declined to be named, Jimin had shown symptoms of chronic fatigue since the previous week. An unstable heart rate, lowered blood pressure, and complaints of muscle pain were not followed by adequate rest because Jimin refused medical leave. He didn't want to burden the team, said one trainer. In fact, internal medical records noted the emergence of psychosomatic symptoms, an indication that mental and physical stress had begun to wear each other down. The concern now leads to a serious question. Is a military hospital really the best place for Jimin's recovery right now? The military, with all its strictness, may not have sufficiently specific resources to handle mental and physical exhaustion at the level experienced by a global celebrity now living as an ordinary soldier. It is known that the military hospital facilities in the 5th Division focus more on physical injuries and emergency treatments. But in Jimin's case, the problem is much more complex. This isn't just torn muscles or a high fever. It's an accumulation of physical pressure, mental stress, and a strong desire to remain perfect even when his body is begging to stop. In a military environment that demands equal treatment for all soldiers, it is not easy to offer special treatment, even to someone like Jimin. However, the situation changed drastically when the 5th Division commander, Colonel Han Jae-mon, officially announced a re-evaluation of the physical training system. In his brief yet firm speech, he stated that starting that day, Jimin and Jungkook would undergo a special recovery-based training protocol with periodic health monitoring. This was not due to their celebrity status, he emphasized, but because both of them represent an unshakable fighting spirit even as their bodies begin to falter. Even so, the public still questions, is that decision enough? Civilian medical experts, including a rehabilitation professor from Seoul University who wished to remain anonymous, advised that Jimin should be transferred to a civilian hospital with comprehensive care facilities for both physical and psychological recovery. Patients with chronic burnout symptoms and acute fatigue should receive multidisciplinary intervention. Military hospitals may not be able to optimally accommodate that need, he said. This situation also reveals a side of Jungkook never seen on any grand stage, a friend willing to postpone all priorities to stand by his comrade. He slept on a chair, refused to eat, and silently monitored Jimin's condition. A nurse said he didn't even speak, but the look in his eyes made it clear that he wasn't going anywhere until Jimin could stand again. When asked if he wanted to return to the barracks first, Jungkook simply said, "My training is here, by his side." Now, the military faces pressure from both sides, from the public, demanding certainty and maximum protection for Jimin, and from internal responsibility to maintain discipline without appearing biased. BTS's agency, Big Hit Music, has yet to make an official comment. However, a source from HYB revealed that Bang Si-hyuk, the agency's founder, had personally contacted the military for the latest health report. "Make sure they recover together. Don't separate them," was a quote from the internal conversation. With the situation becoming increasingly complex, the best option now seems to be medical evacuation to a civilian facility. Not to give special treatment, but to save. Because if not addressed holistically soon, Jimin's condition could deteriorate. He may endure physically, But the mental burden of wanting to disappoint no one could destroy him more deeply than it seems. The most important question now is the military system ready to accept that not all wounds can be healed with rest and vitamins? That sometimes, allowing someone to step back for a moment is not a defeat, but a brave decision to fully recover. As night falls and the barracks return to silence, in a corner of the military hospital infirmary, two friends remain quietly present. One still lies weak, the other sits watching, with swollen eyes, but a resolve stronger than steel. They say nothing, but the public knows. This is not just a story of illness and sacrifice. This is a new chapter of friendship, loyalty, and the hope that even within the rigidity of the military system, humanity can still prevail. AS news of Park Jimin collapsing during military training and Jungkook crying in the military hospital spread widely. The public was immediately swept by a wave of emotions: sympathy, heartbreak, concern, even anger. This reaction is natural because the name BTS is not just a music group, but a global symbol that touches many aspects of millions of fans' lives. But amid that wave of empathy, one fundamental question rarely arises. Did all of this really happen as reported? This article, like many other narratives circulating on platforms like TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and anonymous threads in online communities, stems from a media phenomenon: emotionally charged news, built with strong narratives and presented with high dramatization. But have we ever paused for a moment to ask, is this all fact or merely fiction dressed as news? If it's true that Jimin fainted due to severe fatigue in the 5th Military Division, why has there been no official statement from the South Korean military to date? If Jungkook truly cried by his friend's side, why are there no eyewitnesses providing direct, verified testimony to credible media? We must be honest in acknowledging that most of the sources spreading this information come from viral content whose accuracy cannot be confirmed. Some videos were edited out of context. Some narratives were developed by anonymous accounts that never provided authentic evidence. Shouldn't this be a warning sign for anyone trying to assess information clearly? In the fast and massive digital atmosphere, false information can spread faster than the truth. We, as media consumers, must develop healthy skepticism. Skeptical doesn't mean cynical, but critical. Always questioning factual basis, tracing the source, and questioning the motive behind every report. Is it possible that the story of Jimin lying in a military hospital and Jungkook faithfully staying by his side is just a narrative deliberately crafted to reignite public spotlight on them? Could there be agency, media, or even group interests turning this narrative into a rebranding tool during their military hiatus? This is not an accusation, but an invitation to think. The public needs to realize that celebrities like BTS are national assets, not only in entertainment but also in economics, culture, even diplomacy. Therefore, their stories are not just about music or appearances, but narratives full of interest. When news of Jimin's health is shrouded in mystery and Jungkook's emotional expression becomes media consumption, are we witnessing the truth? Or are we trapped in a simulation designed to provoke sentiment? Let's ask some critical questions. Why hasn't there been any official statement from HYB or the military until now? If Jimin's condition has truly worsened, why hasn't he been transferred to a civilian hospital with open medical documentation? Who first spread this narrative, and why has social media become the primary source, not national news media? Fact and fiction can no longer be distinguished by narrative alone. Emotion built through stories, videos, and images can create powerful perceptions, even without verified truth. This is what's called emotional truth, the truth we feel, even if it's not factually accurate. If it's true that Jimin and Jungkook are experiencing physical and emotional pressure during their military service, then we must fully support their recovery. But if this narrative is just an emotional construct built to maintain public presence during their hiatus, then we are all being manipulated by an industry that increasingly knows how to exploit public sympathy. As a smart society, we must not become passive spectators. We must be part of the information filtering process. And for that, we must always check information sources. Is the news from official journalists, credible media, or just unknown social media accounts? Question the motive behind the information. Who benefits from the viral spread of this news? Evaluate the reporting pattern. Is this the only media reporting it? Are there data, visual evidence, or just emotional narrative? Let's reflect together. Are we, as readers, absorbing facts or being lulled by a story intentionally created? Are we allowing space for genuine empathy or reinforcing an unhealthy viral culture? Does this news free our minds or trap them in a perspective created by certain parties? We do not offer conclusions. We only state that this information still needs verification.